Carthage had been defeated at sea. Carthage had been defeated on their walls and on their streets. The Armenian advance was not stopped, even after some 2/3 of their men fell behind due to exhaustion. The chosen king pressed on, but was met by an army from which he could not escape. Cornered, he formed his men up and readied them to fight their way out.
You fools! You think that if you stick an arrow in me it will make any difference? You think the power of the chosen king can be trampled under a horse's hooves? You know nothing! I am ready for death. I will emerge no matter the result, again and again into the end of time until my mission is complete. Whereas you are mortal and you have defied the will of Pandora. The tides of time are approaching, and you will find that battle armor all too heavy in the wash. Yes, I do not need the crew, I do not need my wife. I need only their vital energies to create worthy servants. Such was Pandora's will for me, so it shall be for the mortals I have left behind. Oh, I should probably say something to my own men. Hello, troops. I need you to kill those Carthaginians today. Someone else will have to do it if you don't, and everyone's very busy. So, let's have a productive day today.
Hello there, welcome back to Wings of Eden. We're in this difficult battle with Mannui'qapi then, and our main strategy here to try and achieve victory is to have our cav just run about off to our flank. You can see it's already attracted a lot of enemy attention. Pretty much a whole army's out there chasing those cav, meaning the enemy's numbers in the main fight are greatly diminished. On our right, Mannui'qapi himself is leading some cav to try and drive away javelins. But we've seen before, cataphracts don't actually do very well against javs in melee, since javs are okay as skirmishers go, and cataphracts are bad as melee cavalry goes. So we're not going to be able to actually defeat them. But doesn't really matter, this is what we're focusing on. Our cav way off to the left are just about escaping from the enemy. That was a close call there. Luckily those enemy Sacred Band cav decided to give up the chase for no particular reason. We just keep running away, drawing the enemy even further and further away from the fight to give us more time to defeat the stuff already over here. The enemy general is trying to fight with my spears, that's good news, he will soon be routed by that. Mannui'qapi has had to give up on fighting the javs after losing a whole load of men, as you can see. Instead, we'll use him to rout a little bit of the enemy's right flank in the main fight to get us some more melee infantry to use, while my own javs just distract the enemy on the right. Here we are a little bit later, those javs on the enemy's centre right are already going, and on the left, there goes their general as well. Plus the javs behind him are routing. Broadly speaking, things are going very well on both of our main flanks, so we'll be able to fold around and attack the enemy centre, all because the enemy's reinforcements are all the way over here. Looks like I'm about to get quite literally cornered by the red line of death, need to micro my cav out of that situation and keep running to keep the enemy distracted. Mannui'qapi comes in for another go at those javs, this time after they've already been engaged by my own javs, and now we're able to rout them. Not especially remarkable, you might think, to rout some skirmishing javs with cataphracts, but apparently that is an achievement. With them dead, we can go on to attack the spears nearby, and then our right flank will be totally freed up. You can see the folding is going on right here. We're going to surround that enemy centre. Some of the centre is javeliniers in melee, so they're going to be nice and easy to rout, and then we'll get rear attacks on their spears as well. 30 seconds later, that right flank is won, and the folding is having its effect. Many enemies are trying to escape. They will be able to get away because the encirclement isn't complete, but I am going to have Mannui'qapi go out and kill some of the routing javs, just because we don't want them to come back. And about half of the enemy army at this stage is either routed or is just not engaging, allowing us to continually slaughter the units that are engaging despite our overall disadvantage. This one unit was coming in to attack our encirclement, so I've stationed men to prevent them from hitting our rear. But as it happens, this unit is already so tired from running about the place that a few arrows are enough to rout them. Very good news. You may remember I mentioned way early in the series that tired units take a lot more damage to ranged fire for some reason, so crappy archers can take down heavy infantry in those sorts of situations. And overall, looks like the advantages are going to be ours now. We'll slaughter all the infantry already engaged. Everyone outside the encirclement is going to be too tired to get through us. And it works the other way as well. Our own archers, who are still fresh, can go in and fight with the enemy's heavy infantry, and our big stamina advantage means we can actually just beat them from the front like that. That's going to speed up the process. So here we are, a little bit later, our cavalry come in to try and speed up the destruction of the enemy's main blob. The charge is absolutely terrible. I think my own cav are pretty tired at this point as well, so charging doesn't do very much. But them being there is a morale shock, and now we start to see everything getting slaughtered. That said, according to the balance bar, we're still losing. We did take some losses in this fight. It's mainly though because the enemy have so many units still yet to engage. Really then, we've just won the first battle, we'll reform to face the rest of their army, but with all those debuffs I mentioned, the rest of their army is going to be much weaker than it looks on the balance bar. Here's an example from the first unit that made it over to fight us, but already very tired, whereas our units are fresh because we've got to wait for ages for the enemy to actually get over here. Now we just need to inflict a few morale penalties, and we'll be able to rout these units without really killing them, speeding the process of winning this battle up. Also, the enemy second general, the general of their second army, came over to fight and ended up getting stuck on 2 of our spear units at once. He's going to have a very bad time over there. The enemy do still have an advantage when it comes to numbers of melee troops, but I'm so confident in the abilities of our archers to fight while they're fresh and the enemy are tired that I've just extended the main line to have the archers in it, and they'll receive the enemy's charges. Once those fights get going, we can use our numerical advantage in skirmishes to try and win the melee. We can surround these units and gradually attack them. We still do have very low attacking stats, and the enemy have high defensive stats, so it takes a long time to kill them, but it does happen, and they don't really kill us very much back because stamina debuffs mostly apply to your attack, so they can't kill us. There was still a little bit of kiting going on in the background. Some units still chased my cav, and I even ended up losing a load of cav due to not paying attention over there and skirmish mode not working very well. But overall, everyone that came over to fight us just routed soon after the fighting started, and because they were all surrounded by our skirmishers and our cataphracts, we started slaughtering them, and we do want to slaughter them manually because a lot of the troops here are reinforcements from a second army and from a town garrison, and you have to kill them manually for it to count. The battle comes to a close then in a close victory, a bloody fight, but we certainly came out on top.
Wish I could have stayed to tell the Chosen King he was a real piece of work. I feel like I can see my whole life flashing before my eyes. But something's wrong. That ain't... Who is Mithridates? Who is that? It feels kinda like it was me. I can't... Damn, this plague's gone and broken my own memories. All I have left. So this is it. Might as well let it all end. Oh, what? What? Where am I? Is it complete? Whose life force is this? This is the power of 2 life forces. Mithridates of the Alpha line and Macru of the Beta line. The Chosen King has combined their powers with mine, and now I have the strength of 3 men and 1 woman. I must go see him at once. Everyone up! Everyone up! I am... well, don't worry about my name. I'm your new leader. To the king!
I don't really know what happened, but everything has suddenly changed in our political sphere. Our technical faction leader, the old queen of Armenia, has died. She wasn't even in the family tree, but wherever she was, her death has removed everyone else from the family tree except this one new guy. This new guy is another Mannui'qapi clone, and in particular you can see Mannui'qapi, who was a member of our royal family, now isn't for some reason. I believe his wife also died mysteriously at the same time, kicking him out because he was only a royal by marriage. Some guy is now our faction leader. I can make the one guy in my tree our faction heir, but we can't see who the faction leader actually is right now, so we'll just have to ignore that. And also note that the new guy is apparently the son of Mithridates from the old timeline, so I don't even know what's going on here. All we can do is go back to conquering Carthage, with Bakru now replaced by this mysterious clone. We want to lay siege to this next Carthaginian town. First I'm going to move Mannui'qapi around to the east so that the siege is coming from that direction. That means if loads of extra enemy armies appear and we have to retreat, this time we'll retreat in a more productive direction. It's going to take us ages apparently to set up any siege equipment, so we'll just stand there for now. Need to wait for our reinforcements to show up anyway, so not so bad for this turn at least. While all this has been going on, we have still been fighting in Italy, although nothing significant has happened. One of Mannui'qapi's clones has just been slaughtering loads of low-quality Celtic forces using our Romanized infantry. In this case, after I took this town, I thought I'll use the fact I own it for this turn only to recruit a new general here to support this guy. And funnily enough, we actually have the option to recruit a guy who is our faction leader, I do believe. The idea here was I'd recruit a general and then use levies and mercenaries to suddenly spring up an army in this area. But yes, I serendipitously discovered that this guy, the guy in the diplomacy screen, whoever that is our faction leader, is now actually in the game. So this is an improvement from our previous faction leader who was completely outside of the game. He's still not in the list, he's definitely not in our family tree, and he's not even in the list of other nobles who are supposed to be involved in the game. So who knows who this guy actually is, but now that he's out in the field we can build his influence and potentially use that for diplomatic purposes and for the political events. Anyway, moving on, we're in the next turn and all of my forces stack up ready to help Mannui'qapi. For some reason though, with the enemy's reinforcements gone and with my reinforcements here, the balance bar is even worse than it was when it was just Mannui'qapi. Not quite sure what's going on here, but we'll just have to leave that situation. There's a chance it's something to do with supplies, maybe having all these debuffed armies here actually counts against us in some way. It was at this point in the campaign that Ancient Empires, the mod, was updated. Our capital name has changed from Yevandashat to Armavir, so it looks like the timeline is still being slightly corrupted in our story by various events. This update doesn't really make any significant impact to us. Luckily, the game still works, and it should prevent any more timeline corruptions caused by the rebels appearing off in the plains. We'll see how that goes. We still can't do anything, by the way, at home. Just thought I'd show you our buildings there. We can't build anything and haven't been able to for pretty much the whole game because of the food cap. Now, back over at the siege, the Carthaginians send some ships to attack No Unit Card, who I had put out into the sea, hoping to start a naval blockade soon. We retreat. I thought we might have to fight a naval battle, but in fact, another Carthaginian army appears with a high-level general and some elephants, which I immediately went to look at. That's the big threat there. And they come onto land and attack Mannui'qapi. So we're going to have a land battle without our third army, just the two. Looks like it's going to be a decisive fight because the sieged force is coming out as well. Maybe we can use this as a siege draw-out. Although our second army supporting us is going to be severely debuffed by their lack of supplies, it puts them on very tired, and you can see how much of a problem that is right away. As they come onto the field, several units are already on wavering morale, even after doing nothing, and for some reason, my chariots just died. I didn't catch it either in the gameplay or in the replay. I think they just died. There's no enemies here, there's no possible reason they would have died. Maybe chariots can be killed by terrain? I'm not sure. So a few of them died and the unit shattered. That's a bad start, and you can see the army has many units on the verge of routing already as we march into battle. The one advantage we'll have is that the enemy's second army is at sea, so like in the previous battle, we're actually going to be fighting several smaller battles, and that will help make things a bit more manageable.
There you are, my beautiful boy.
How do I look, my lord?
You look stunning, just as I did in my youth. You've got something around your mouth.
Oh, really, I do apologize. How rude of me. There's a lack of food among the army, you see.
So I heard from your predecessor. Is he doing well?
safely stowed away in my soul. Might have lived a bit longer if he was as clever as me. I've solved our food problems.
Ah, wonderful. Were there fruits at the last oasis?
Even better. We ate the chariots.
What?
The men are quite happy, don't worry.
You ate the chariots?
What? They're my men. I can dispose of them as I please.
You are meant to use them for fighting.
But my lord, the horses fed the men for days. And the drivers, well, they were a delicacy I enjoyed personally.
I think I might have made a little mistake with your transformation, my boy.
Phase 1 of the fight begins then. As the enemy's infantry got close, I decided to charge my main line forwards. The enemy have javelins, so best to get them into melee before they start throwing them at us. Even then, we're not going to have the best time in this melee. You can see just looking at the numbers, we're in trouble. The enemy's infantry is in some cases actually the exact same units as mine, and they've got a definitive numerical advantage. Plus, there's the elephants slowly walking into battle, and that's going to be my main focus as the battle starts. This guy has gotten very enthusiastic about his elephant and has fused with it. We'll certainly need to take down the Elephant King to win this battle. On our right, the enemy's cavalry outflanked me and were slowly working their way through our melee line and our archers. Luckily I was able to reinforce with my own general and some Javcav, but it wasn't all that effective actually. We're still going to have trouble on our right flank. Here's what I'm really looking at while playing the left. I've moved up my 2 javelin units to exclusively throw jabs at the elephants. This is their main weakness, and indeed it does start to kill them very quickly. Their unit's very spread out, so we can't really take them all down at once or anything, but these hits are going to inflict casualties, and once we kill enough of them, they will rout. Plus, lots of them aren't actually in the fight. They're stuck amongst all of their own infantry, so they're not being all that effective. Back on the right, it's not going very well. The enemy's spearmen are driving Mannui'qapi away, and my Javcav, who were meant to be taking them down, just aren't. So as a result, we're fighting those spears with archers back here, and those archers are getting killed. It's not all that good. But we have now gotten rid of the elephants. That's going to make the melee much easier. But again, just a quick look at this melee tells you that things aren't going to be all that easy. Look how thick the enemy formation is in comparison to ours. Our units are already damaged, so we need to do something pretty big to actually get away with this melee. We're relying really on the arrival of our second army, and here it finally does start to arrive on our right flank. Got a few units there we can go in to attack from behind, and as our men get into the fights, their morale should improve a little bit. I think you get a morale buff when you go into a fight that you can win, so hopefully no immediate routes over there. Things still going poorly behind the army. We'll sort that out eventually now that we have reinforcements. Our second army was being harassed though by the enemy's general, who charged right into the middle of our formation and routed 3 units immediately because our morale is so low. Now though, that enemy general is stuck in our second army, so we can surround and pound him with everything we've got, and we're quickly killing his bodyguard. This is a nice opportunity here. We'll come back to him and see if he gets away with that. Back behind our line, Mannui'qapi has finally managed to sort out the problem of this one enemy infantry unit just tearing everything up, with help from some silver shields from the second army. Now things are stable looking there, as long as our infantry line still holds at the front, and it's doing okay so far. Our rear attack on the enemy has been mixed, because while we did rout some enemy units, our units also routed in the fight, even at pretty much full strength, thanks to our debuffs, so that's a little bit iffy. Here's the really good news though. We did take out the enemy general in that big mosh. He was unable to rout out of it. And that's going to have a pretty big effect actually. We immediately see some enemy units start shattering. There is just some of the light infantry going out of the melee, but this will help out a little bit more in a sec. They've got a half stack of reinforcements that's now joining the battle, and I'm just trying to distract them. My second army on the right and some Javs on the left are going to keep them busy so we can focus on taking down those initial units first. The second army will now maneuver to prepare for rear attacks. Eventually they get into position, and in they go, charging into that sea of enemy spearmen. Our own unit happens to be the exact same unit type, so it looks a bit confusing. But look at this. The enemy units start shattering en masse at nearly full strength as we attack. They're really tired now as well after all the fighting, and with the loss of their general, they've got a huge morale penalty, so we can just push them off the field without really having to fight them, which is ideal because that is the only possible way to actually get through those units at this point. So So now we'll send our cav to chase those nearly full strength units and just annihilate them as they leave, and the infantry will start rolling down the line, taking care of this first army. These units lasted a little bit longer, the ones on the left, but as we pushed in the archers as well to go into the fray, they're not going to be able to take this onslaught, and the first army will be down. As for the second army, well, they're only just getting off the boats, and some of them are busy practicing for the Olympic long jump, so they're not really participating in the battle at all. That means we'll have more than enough time to wipe out everything from the first and a half armies and reform for the second part of the battle.
Look at that enemy warlord. He's got something tied to his banner. No, it's impossible. General, what if they... His spine is... No, all is lost. Who could have slain him? How did those cursed Armenians produce such great warriors? We can't beat them. They'll do that to all our spines. Back! Back now! We must return to the city before we're surrounded. What do you mean, our reinforcements? Do you see them? Is that... They're at the beach. They're practicing athletics. Is this the magic of that Armenian king? How could they forget about us? No, it's over. The Republic shall fall without a doubt. We should go into the desert in the south and... Oh, by the gods, their cataphracts are charging! Run! Get out of my way!
That unit that's engaging me right here shatters and then disappears. I was like, wait, what? Zoomed in to take a look, to try and see what happened. I noticed something strange happening when I was fighting the battle. It seemed like the second army just never really materialized, and I think it actually might have dematerialized in some way, like this unit. There are no bodies on the floor where the unit was stationed, and it was at almost full strength. There should be guys everywhere, but no, there was just one or two retreating soldiers left. It was the same deal over here, where there are a load of javelin units fighting my men, and they kind of just disappeared. Hard to explain, I didn't really get any footage that shows it very well, so this does sound like a ghost story. But I think the second army either shattered upon hitting the beach, or they just literally disappeared. Their units were just deleted off the map. And my theory is that parts of their units were on their ships. They didn't successfully all get off. And as the ships left the map and despawned, it despawned the units that they dropped off as well. And that's why the second phase of the battle that I was expecting just didn't really happen for some reason. Looks like they never did get that ship out of the beach, the one they got stuck, so they didn't get away with all their ships in the end. So yes, we just slaughtered everything on the field that was already routing, and there wasn't much left of the battle, but there was one unit that came to sit on the beach and threatened to attack. A few fire arrows eventually got them to give up, and there's the win we were looking for. So that battle went surprisingly well actually. I had thought it could be a difficult one at the start, but everything seemed to go perfectly. We did lose a couple of units due to my sloppiness at the beginning of the fight, but overall, pretty decent. And our second army, despite all its debuffs, was fine, I guess because all the units that did get into any trouble just left immediately, so they didn't lose any men. The enemy army's completely taken down. There are a few half-dead units still alive, and actually we are going to have to go after them again right now, because our Egyptian allies decided to send one unit to aid in this battle, and it's initiating a battle for us right here. So it's a load of survivors with a freshly spawned general, and some ships from the city as well, and the balance bar was surprisingly even, given what you'd think right here. So I had to fight this one myself, annoyingly, because if we auto-resolve, we'd probably just lose half of our army. The general who started all this is going full Alexander the Great. He is going to YOLO right into the front of the enemy army. There's not much to that army, but there's enough to stop a single unit of cav, so not the ideal strategy. Even managed to charge right into those spears rather than the jabs on either side. Excellent targeting from the AI. The jabs that they missed are now going to absolutely pummel them. They try and get out of there, but the AI doesn't know about the movement rule where you die if you move, so he actually loses most of the unit now attempting to escape from those spears. Really shouldn't have attacked the spears in the first place. The way it works, by the way, is the AI just moves towards your army, and when the units are close, each unit attacks the thing that's closest to it when it's given its attack mode AI type. So the AI doesn't really pick targets, it just kills whatever's nearby, and that's why you often see Cav go around the flanks and just run into spears that you've left there without really thinking about it. Those Cav were defeated, as you might expect, and we had to come over to finish the battle. Proved to be quite easy actually, because the enemy just routed. They started coming towards our lines but just got out of there, and we're raining arrows and jabs on them. I guess the enemy are a bit tired after that first battle, that's going to help us out. And as they start running away, we can hit them in the back with arrows, removing their shield missile block bonus, so we'll get extra kills. They did get a few javelin units to throw things back, so we didn't take the battle for free, did take some losses. But overall, all was good. There was one hairy moment when the enemy general looked like he was going to charge my javs there, who were exposed. But he ended up just parking in front of the line, taking a load of jabs and arrows, and that routed him. Ordered my lighter cav to chase him down so we can get the general kill, and just slaughtered everything on the map in general, and we ended up with a win. And the main advantage to this win is that we killed quite a few ships from the enemy garrison, so it's going to help out with our siege situation we've got going on nearby. Incredibly cheekily, the general who started that battle actually survived. He lost all his men, but he's still alive, so he'll start regenerating and will perhaps get away with all that. Anyway, so thanks to him for allowing us the chance to weaken the enemy's siege defences by taking out the ships. At least we'll sort that out next time. Thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to all of the Official Elite Dev and patrons. We'll be pushing on to our objective in the campaign, Carthage itself, in the next part of Wings of Eden.